All right, so welcome back. This is the second panel, and we're going to be talking about EDI in film and television. I'm joined today by the fantastic Rochelle Newman, who is a producer of White Nanny, Black Child. Also with me today, we have Reema Samuel-Lewis, who is head of Sky D&I Partnerships. And to my left, we have Ruby Charalambous. No, I've got it wrong, haven't I? Go on. I'm not getting that one right today. Yeah, there we go. Go on. Yeah. Charalambous. There we go. Thank you. Ruby Charalambous, who is the lead for the Mayor of London's Creative Enterprise Zone. And, okay, we're going to open up. We're going to open up like a general question. So what does EDI utopia look like in film and TV? Who would like to start with that one?
I can start. For me, utopia is representation across the board. It's on screen, it's off screen, it's in the boardrooms, and it's people making decisions. We need to represent modern Britain and make sure that's reflected across the industry.
Could you just say what EDI is? So I've used the acronym, and I used D&I when I introduced you, just in case anyone isn't sure.
Of course. So ED&I, depending on where you are, the E stands for equity or equality. At Sky, we use D&I, which is diversity and inclusion.
Thank you, thank you. Ruby, I think you had something to say.
Yeah, so as an Asian woman growing up, I spent most of my time watching Bollywood films. And what Bollywood films teach you is about diversity, inclusion, and equality from its core. It taught me about beliefs, religions. It taught me about the discrepancies within all of the South Asian cultures. And without the Bollywood industry, I certainly wouldn't have the identity that I have today. So it is something that I know as an Asian woman growing up that I was discouraged from going into the creative industries by my mum. And that prejudice and stereotype exists for a lot of Asian women, especially Asian women, who can't enter because they just feel that they can't speak up against their parents. So yeah, it's about representation and making sure that young people have an opportunity and a channel and a journey, a pathway where they know that they can actually stand up and actually follow their passions and careers, against their wishes of their parents.
Thank you, thank you. And Rochelle, how about you?
I would say, first of all, it should start with how we're getting our jobs. So we're fighting for jobs on Facebook and all of these platforms, and it shouldn't be that way. There should be a better system of how freelancers can get work and how we can all start to collaborate with one another. I think that's the main thing that needs to be sorted out right now within the industry. And it's something that a lot of people are struggling with. It doesn't matter whether you're a runner or you're a director. People are fighting for work, and people within the industry who are at the top need to sort it out and figure out how we can all come together and just work within the creative industry and really live our dreams. And that's really it. I think that's where it needs to start.
Nice. So, I mean, it's interesting to hear the variety of approaches that you take and the challenges that you faced. And I think that probably leads us quite nicely into the next question, which is, what have been the biggest changes, I guess, maybe positive or negative changes in the industry over the last few years?
I can start. I don't really think that there has been much consistent change. I know that since George Floyd died, more people of color were getting jobs, but that's all kind of stopped now. So I would say that there hasn't been much change. It needs to be consistent. People at the top, again, need to let more people like myself and men and women of color into the industry. Let us try something different. And it's something that I really struggled with. So as someone who has recently won a big award, I've won a BAFTA, there's still struggles, and I'm not having access to certain stuff that other people are. But I'm having to create things myself, which is fine by me because it's what I do anyways, but it needs to change within that. So I say there's not much change, but there can be change if we all come together.
And would you say that's the experience you've found, Reema, that the challenges are still there, they're presenting themselves maybe in different ways, or that it just hasn't really changed ever since, I think it was the Black Lives Matter movement you were talking about? There was like a bit of an uptick, and now it's just like back to normal.
I think if you think back to 4 years ago, right, we've had the pandemic, we've had the post-COVID boom, where everyone was putting up black squares and lots of black people were getting hired. Then we had the cost of living crisis, post-pandemic, you know, all of these sorts of things. The backlash against D&I, people saying, look, you know, is it really worth what you're doing? I think with Sky, I have to talk about Sky, we made a commitment. We made a very sizable public commitment to tackle racial injustice. And unlike other companies, we haven't pushed back on those commitments. We're still pushing forward at the same rate. We're still commissioning at the same rate. And I think across the industry, we need to hold ourselves accountable and say it's still important. And there's a systemic issue here, and we need to keep going.
Thank you. And Rubina, you mentioned when you were growing up, you felt that you were discouraged to work in the creative sector, film and TV. So obviously that was like only like 20 years ago. Yeah. And here we are now. How do you think you pushed through that? What has changed recently that you can see that has helped you move forward?
So I can say that from my perspective, what I've been able to change is that I've moved into working for local government, and so I'm able to influence policies and change legislation from a local government's perspective and represent Asian voices and black voices from within. And that's really important, that Brent are really committed to representing the communities we serve, and that they need policymakers like myself in order for that to actually happen, because that tends to be a lot of the starting places for where change needs to come first. But also, just to let you know that one of my son-in-law, Archie Maddox, who is a comedian and also playwright, he's written things like A Place for We, Matchstick, Gassed Up. I don't know if you've seen any of those, but you know, one of the things, his dad's Don Warrington, one of the things he says to me is what stops him from doing what he does as a producer and a writer and a comedian is actually funding, just access to actually more funding for black directors. So there needs to be, like from a government point of view, there needs to be more avenues open to access easy funding for directors like Archie Maddox.
Nice. And I mean, it's interesting to hear you talk about how things haven't changed. Do you think you can be ambassadors of change? I was in a meeting recently where there was one of the women in the meeting said, well, look, we need to address this point. And it was just thrown back at her by like the MD and go, well, great, take care of it. And she said, well, look, hold on. This has to be a two-way conversation. So where would we pick that up? If you could speak to someone now, who would you speak to try and address these issues? It's only the big questions.
I think it starts with the channels. So speaking to the big channels, the people at the top of BBC, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, Sky, all of those things, and really everyone coming together and looking at policies of how things could change. I think that's where it starts. But although you go into these meetings and you speak to people, there's still not much change. So what is it going to take for us to really have health and safety regulations in the industry, just more opportunities for people to be able to pitch their ideas and actually for the ideas to get somewhere, first of all. That is a big thing as well. So I think it's those people at the top need to come together and stop wasting their money on other things and help young people who want to be creative. Because the thing is that people are doing it by themselves now. They're doing it on TikTok, they're doing it on YouTube. We don't really need to go to channels, but we do want to have those commissions as well. So that needs to be sorted out with those people at the top. So if you can connect us with any of those people, then we're happy to talk to them, and I am as well.
So Reema, Sky was called out there. Clearly you are doing something about it. You are that person. Give us an example of where you're addressing these issues.
One of the initiatives that we're working on at the moment, or one of the initiatives that I'm working on, is the new Focus Fund to diversify the stories that come into Sky Sports. Traditionally, Sky Sports do not commission content, but what we've done is we've put £500,000 up for diverse content creators to tell stories in different ways. As part of that program, we're supporting content creators' well-being. Right? You spoke about how tough it is. We're making sure that we're supporting content creators to bring their vision to life, but also how to look after their well-being, and they make their content in the way that they want to do. So I don't know if you've seen Beno Abano's Rising Heat. That came out last week. That's him telling a story in his way. he's a rugby player, but he's not talking about rugby in his content. And we've got so much content that's coming out. We commissioned 10 pieces of content to go onto Sky Sports platforms, all different stories, all something we haven't done before because we recognise the system needs to be changed. And it starts with initiatives like that, and then we can keep moving forward and support black and brown and underrepresented creators.
Nice. Thank you. Well, look, let's roll on to the next question, which has the word roll in it. Sorry, terrible segue. So Ruby, what is your ambition in your role? Where, within the constraints that you maybe that exist or don't, where do you see yourself going or able to go?
So I'm really pleased that the Mayor of London's actually funded the Creative Enterprise Zone. So the Mayor of London, who supported today's event, woo! So
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, so it's brilliant. We need the Mayor of London to actually listen to what we have to say. So more policy changes, more creative industries being developed within local authorities. At the moment, there's only 13 Creative Enterprise Zones in London. Only 13. So there's a lot of work left to do. The Creative Enterprise Zone in Brent that we have is on Ealing Road and Alperton, and it was developed through the brainchild of actually thinking about how we were going to support creatives. This is like film industry, how we were going to support the tailoring industry, which is the backbone to the Asian fashion wear, and finally the jewellery industry. So in my role, I've developed developing affordable workspaces, training and development, training and skills workshops and courses, as well as providing employment skills and jobs. So there's a real change in thinking about what the next generation is going to look like and feel like in the future.
Fantastic. It's great to hear there's some positive action taking place. It's not just talk, it's not just planning. There are things being done now to help improve the chances of people who maybe don't have those chances. That's great. Rochelle.
What was the question?
Sorry, so the question is, what is your ambition in your role? So where you are now, where do you see yourself going? And I mean, ideally, what would your dream, what's your dream destination?
Okay. So I produce and direct documentaries, feature-length films. So because of how creative I am, myself and my friend and business partner Roberta, we're starting up our own production company. So we've got a few feature films that we're looking to do, and documentaries and content creating. So I want to be in front of camera and also behind, producing, directing, getting more commissions, and then taking it from there. Want to travel around the world, meeting new people. Was in Bali doing a documentary, and then Paris. Doing one about how people are finding peace through different religions and belief systems. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. So looking to do more of those things that really make people feel and really challenge the way how we're living today and how we can live better. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Nice. And
I've forgotten the question.
well, here we go. Don't worry, I'd forgotten the question too, Reema. So, Reema, what is your ambition? What's your dream goal in terms of what you're doing?
Yeah.
Where would you love to be right now, whether that's personally or to drive EDI across the industry?
Look, I recognise that I can be a change agent, and I really want to make impact, not just for content creators, for people across the spectrum. So, black businesses are traditionally underfunded, right? We've got a program where we're supporting black businesses through the BEO. We are also funding underrepresented groups to get their football industry's MBA, because we recognise that the football industry needs to be diversified. I want to be that person that can support the community in general, everybody, and bring them along. And then we think about social mobility, right? It's a great unifier. It's recognising that we need to bring everyone up to the bar and not just have those gatekeepers at the top. How can I support that? That's what I say.
Fantastic. All right, well, look, we've got one more question, then we take some questions from the floor. So I'm going to open up. I'm going to see who looks happiest with this question. Why is it so important we have diverse talent in creative roles? And I think we've mentioned a little bit about why we need it, but let's dig into that a bit.
To tell different stories. We are not a monolith. We need different perspectives, different ideas. The more people that can tell different stories, is the better our content will be.
It's a fair point. Ruby?
Yep, so absolutely, Reema. One of the things I have to say is that I'm such a film buff. I've got a spreadsheet and I write down all the films, I rate them. So, you name it, if it's coming out on Netflix, Mirzapur, Series 3, Maharaja, I watch them all, literally. And without the diverse perspective that you get from watching different stories and movies, then you learn so much. You can't physically get to to places across the world, but it transports you into someone else's storybook and journey. And I just wanted to give you one example. Is Forum, who actually was part of the competition as part of the West London. I encouraged her to make a short film about her story. She came from India, and she's deaf on one side of her body, with a lot of other disabilities attached, and a really traumatic background. And she managed to pull together the film, 10-minute film it was, wasn't it, Chris? Which kind of told her story. And she's a woman that actually was very timid and very, she wasn't very confident speaking up, but now you give her a microphone and she can speak very confidently, and she's happy to kind of say to the guys that are representing her dance company, do you know what, you can sit back now, I've actually found my voice. And that's why it's really important, that storytelling and that encouragement she just wouldn't have had before. So yeah, absolutely important.
It's fantastic, and to see that ability to use the medium effectively, creatively, tell a brilliant story that you wouldn't have been able to have done in any other way, I think, because of the style of her storytelling, was phenomenal to see. And as a fairly novice filmmaker too, so brilliant. And Rochelle?
I would say without diversity and storytelling, the world is just not moving along. We're not progressing, so it needs to happen. In whatever capacity that you feel like you need to tell your stories and to get them out there, do that. Don't be scared. Get a group of people together and just start filming stuff and putting it online, because don't wait for someone to give you a commission. Just start to do it yourself. So that's the best advice that I'll give to anyone.
I love that. Don't wait for permission. Get on with it. Absolutely. And I think that's a trait of a lot of creatives. You're waiting for someone to tell you to go, and you have to stop doing that. Whether you make a film on your iPhone or you shoot on an Arri Alexa LF, just go and make it. Make the content, share it. Most people in this room are doing it already through their social media channels. So become creative storytellers in another way, and be that person you want to be. Fake it till you make it. I know a lot of people, maybe you guys did, I don't know, don't want to say, but it is a real thing. All right, so I think we've got time now to take a few questions from the floor. We got straight down here. Can we have a microphone down here, please? Yeah. Okay, go on. Got to have a mic. Everyone's got to hear you.
Testing. All right. Yeah, I wanted to ask the lady on the end. Sorry, I came in so late. What's the name of your production company? That was my question. So I missed most of it, but I just came in.
So we're called New Duke Films, and that's a combination of me and Roberto's name. We just thought of this, what was it, last week or the week before? We're sick and tired of the way the industry is, and we don't have no time to be waiting on nobody else. So because we've got really good ideas, we've got our cameras, I've started getting sponsors together, we're deciding to just do our own thing. So New Duke Films, look out for us. And then you can also follow me on Instagram. That's Rochelle S. Newman, and then my website is therochellenewman.com.
That's a lot of information. I'm going to have to speak to you after. Yeah, I think I've got an idea that's spot on with everything that you've said. I'm currently already making it. I actually had Fullwell 73 take an interest in my idea as well. But again, they are more, in my opinion, they're just more commercial elitist. I feel like you guys have more of a personal connection with the documentary that I'm making, so maybe I could ask after that.
I think I
This
tell
is
you
for
what,
talk
this would be
after.
I think you should find Rochelle for a couple of
That's the
minutes
point,
afterwards. Yeah, and and
You
pitch
can't
her.
hear. Sorry.
It's quite muggy in the room. So what was your name?
Taz, can I just speak to you after this, basically?
Okay, yeah,
what it
yeah.
is?
You know, this is a great place to network with some amazing talent. So grab Rochelle afterwards.
New Duke, right?
New
New
Well, just come over. We can have
Yeah,
a chat.
there we go.
Um,
Thank you. One more question,
I
please.
can't-
Another one down the front here. You did have your hand up. Yes. There we go. Mike's just there.
So much. Hi, my name's Maria Alexandru. I really wanted to ask a question today because DEI is very important to me. I do it in the civil service and I'm finishing my PR and communications apprenticeship. And basically my question to you, as a Cypriot woman who's disabled and is female, what will it take to be in front of a camera with you, speak with you in a room and make sure that the DI is covering 25% of the population which is disabled, and just create policy with you so that we can make the change, and hopefully the Mayor of London will hear it too.
It's a great question. I think it's important that on a wider context, the Lilac Review have just published a report into disability and business, and it's a really good read if you want to kind of dig into inclusion a bit more and diversity. It's a great place to start. So what do we think? Ruby, do you want to start?
Yeah, Maria, you know my husband's Cypriot, so I'm flying the flag for the Asian demographic, the Cypriot demographic, the black demographic with all of my family. So please come and speak to me because we are actually about to launch Brent Creates website, which is specifically for creatives who want to network with other creatives and find funding sources. So please find me at the end of this session and I'll link you up.
Go on.
And I can say that we recognise that we need to tell more disabled stories, disability stories, and we do have stuff starting to come out in the pipeline. One of them being through the new Focus Fund. Mike's not really working. But yeah, we recognise that there is a gap there and we need to represent the community. So yeah, thank you for bringing that to light again.
Rochelle?
I would say I've done a few documentaries about disabilities. So I done one for CBBC, which was about a young black family. Their daughter, she has a rare chromosome condition that's so rare that it doesn't have a name. And for that one, we are nominated for an RTS award. So I do a lot within disability and documentaries, and I'll be doing a lot more because I realize there's information that people don't have. For example, like picture exchange communication with children who are autistic and have other severe needs. That's what we looked at in the documentary and how we could communicate with Amaya to help her grow. So definitely it's something that I'll be doing much more of because it's something that needs to be told. So don't worry that you're seen and you're heard, yeah?
Can I just add, Maria, you're getting very emotional, and I've got to share something with you. In the 1980s, I sadly lost my brother to HIV and AIDS. And when I saw the film It's a Sin, which was made, it made me cry buckets. So, we're literally on the same page as you, Maria, and we want to make sure that your voice is heard.
Fantastic. I think we've probably run out of time on this panel, but I would just like to thank you all, Ruby, Rochelle, and Reema. Thank you very much for your time. You've been awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.